Oh, what am I watching? I'm watching the real war that's happening. I'm not gonna go any further, I might get cancelled. Anime is a very creative medium that animators and directors can really do whatever they want for the most part. Japanese animation can really go beyond plus ultra with the dedicated art style they can have because Japan is just more innovative and can curate these talents unlike, I don't know, American TV shows. Even non-Japanese animators can jerk out stand out. Even a non-Japanese show with the Japanese animation style can just look good. I mean, just look at what Samuel Dietz and his team did with Castlevania. This video idea was supposed to be like art style in anime, but since that's a more broader topic and harder to kind of explain in a short amount of time, so I squeeze it like your sausage unapologetically. The topic is uniform versus stylistic style. I probably titled it normal versus stylistic for clicks, but you get the point. There's a lot of debate about certain topics regarding creative freedom. It can be in a more mainstream sense or more underground like the Sakuga community, I guess. Art styles can be varied in a lot of ways. Shows have that identity of a certain visual that you can automatically guess what it is. I mean, where's this from? Yes, JoJo. You know where this is from? Demon Slayer. You know where this is from? Yes, it's Futabu. There's that distinct style that some shows are recognizable for. Same goes for directors or animators. You know when Vincent is animating or Taka Nakamura is doing his crazy shit. A lot of styles can clash together, and that's the other point when multiple different styles are in a show. Going to my previous point, individuals have different ways of how they animate, and some of these shows have creative freedom. Now, I'm not saying staying in one style or etc. is not being creative. No, that's not the point. There's a lot of different aspects that can make a show creative, not just animation. It can be through direction, storyboards, compositing, and a lot more. My point is that the team is not restricted in anything and can do whatever they want, but the opposite is a uniform style. A uniform style is basically staying true to the character design sheet by the character designer of the show. These are your Blue Lock, most Ufotable recent shows, and blah blah blah. This can be a double-edged sword, you can say. Double edge? Edge. Basically, a character designer does the design. They draw each characters in every angle so the team and animators know what they look like in different perspectives too. There's also roles like animation directors and chief animation directors that corrects the drawings depending on what either the philosophy of the show or the episode directors themselves. These people correct drawings so that it's on model to the design sheet. Since now a lot of newer untrained animators are in the industry, sometimes these people have a way harder job now. You can say this is also the normie style because the mainstream fans can't appreciate when staff tries to be creative and go, "What? No, I want to see manga panels detailed character moving." The positive thing is it looks the same every time. I'll be honest, I don't really see any positive things about having a uniform style. Well, let's see here. Most Ufotable and KyoAni shows have always tried to stay on model because why? I don't know. KyoAni shows is not trying to do some crazy Sakuga moment. They absolutely can do that, but most of their shows are very grounded because it's slice of life romance shit. Every design is always on model because these two studios give ample time to their staff, so you don't see the occasional wonky drawings because either they didn't have time to correct it or they're just a bad studio. Even a show like Violet Evergarden, where the design is very complex, not just in terms of the design, but also the clothing folds, it's always on model. Same goes for Demon Slayer. Akira Matsushima's design is amazing, and it stays on model because good scheduling. And I just realized this. Akira Matsushima is credited as chief animation director. That's it. Usually since the anime industry is a hellhole now, you have different chief animation directors for some episodes because chief AD is supposed to be the character designer. And it's true here in Demon Slayer, Akira Matsushima is credited as chief AD for all the episodes of all seasons. I think because nowadays schedule deadlines are pretty fucked. Or maybe you can say anime is in a bad place, guys. What the fuck? The negatives are, since Ufotable and KyoAni are the anomalies in the industry, being ahead of schedule every single time, and of course, good scheduling, so they are consistent. That's not for majority of shows. Most shitty isekai fantasy shows can't be on model because limited resources and scheduling. Like, Ko Season 2 barely moved, and the drawings looked so ass most of the time. Hopefully they don't do that to My Girl Ichika next season. But in the other side, like some higher profile shows like Blue Lock, Chainsaw Man, Oshinoko, etc. These shows have detailed designs while also having not the best scheduling. The producers in Blue Lock wanted the manga's drawing to be more prevalent in the anime, since Nomura Sensei's art in the manga is crazy detailed, so translating that to the anime will restrain a lot of the movement if the schedule is horrible. You can see in this layout by Nihira, the kick posture of Isagi was heavily corrected in the final product to look like the manga. Same goes for Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man was a very ambitious show. It could have been one of the best looking animes if they did it the whole way through, but unfortunately since the show only had like a year, maybe a bit less, that wasn't enough. Nakayama wanted the anime adaptation to be more realistic and grounded compared to the manga. This was a bit too demanding for a show that didn't have a good schedule. A lot of talented animators were stuck animation directing and correcting drawing, while on the other hand, most people, the saga community, couldn't even recognize who did who until it was revealed by the studio itself or by the animator themselves, because it was heavily corrected. On the other hand, that you are jerking off with, stylistic is a thing that you usually don't see come to fruition. You can also say it's not the norm, like your Masaki Yuasa director shows, Trigger shows, and I guess Shaft shows. Again, a stylistic style is not just bound to animation / movement. It can be other aspects, like most Shaft shows have that distinct fast-paced direction and interesting shot composition, but of course, I'll mainly talk about animation, the movement side. Here's a question. Is Yaiba a stylistic show? Yes, it's a Kaneda style show. Every Kaneda inspired animators is there, mostly. It is the philosophy of the show about, again, this is not the norm. That's why it's stylistic. It's creative freedom to the max for the staff, because being stylistic is not in a vacuum. It's all about the staff working on it, or it's the philosophy of a studio like Trigger and Science Sorrow. That's why you see so many different styles in, let's say, JJK Season 2. Shota Gozuzono wanted Season 2 to be more expressive as possible in terms of the freedom that the animators had. Episode 5 looked more realistic in terms of the design because Take Ninuma animation directed that episode, making it more realistic body proportions and shading. Episode 7 looked very Kaneda style or Gurren Lagann inspired because Yoto, the person directing it, is a Kaneda animator. Episode 16 went a more Kaganeshi simplistic style because that's what Miso wanted, and the animation directors followed through his direction, correcting the drawings with no shadows. You get the idea. It's more about who's animating and who's directing what. These different episodes can undergo a stylistic overhaul or look different because it can just be one person changing things how they like to be. It can be a Keisuke Kobayashi AD episode or Kai Ikarashi episode. Episode directors, animation directors, and also storyboarders are pivotal on how an episode can look, because these aspects are very hands-on deck on the project. Less detailed designs can sometimes be a benefit for animators because they don't have to draw something very detailed, or the other way around for animation directors to have less straining work, you can say. And usually these simpler design shows can create this environment of doing whatever you want because of how flexible the design is, or just freedom. I mentioned before Chainsaw Man had a pretty uniform style, but the endings were different. They had the freedom to do anything with their own distinct style. The anime industry is a passion-driven industry. These people will go uncredited or work on a terrible schedule just to help a friend out. These anime can exist to prove that the anime is not an industry built upon corporate greed. Well, it is now. Every animator is just getting whipped like, whoosh, whoosh, go back to work, you pig. Almost said another animal that would have been racist. But the negatives usually outweighs the positives for the mainstream viewers. I'm talking about the normies. Ooh, those Bomba Ross Club. Any mainstream shows that try to do something out of the ordinary just get doinked on. I guess one good example is Norio Matsumoto. Matsumoto is basically the Naruto guy. He's responsible for most of the good-looking fights in Naruto, and the backlash was, oh, stop that. One frame bad drawing? What the fuck? Matsumoto's style is unorthodox, focusing more on the fluidity of the characters while making the character off-model to intonate that force, because animation is something you view as a video. Being one of the most influential animators comes people under him that animates in the same style. Shingo Yamashita animated the bulk of Naruto vs. Pain fight, and you know how that went. Most normies are allergic to anything creative, even before Shingo Yamashita did Naruto vs. Pain. Birdie the Code has the same backlash, although this was not a mainstream show. Even JJK Season 2 got it with the Kakenashi. People said it was like no detail because, again, they want manga panel slideshow. One Piece is another case. Nowadays, this show looks amazing, somehow being a weekly drop. That also comes with a lot of animators with different styles. You have the Ohira being called AI over animation, and etc. It's very hard to please the normies because change is something that they don't want. That's why they think Ufotable shows look amazing. Yes, they look amazing, but movement wise, it's not even close to the stuff that Mappa, Cloverworks, Wish Studios, or even Soul Leveling's doing. I think at the end of the day, both styles are amazing. Yes, there's some negatives to it, but overall, it's okay. Right? Art is subjective, but in the world of animation, you can make a lot of things more in an objective standpoint. I think people can't do that because they don't even know what animation is in the first place. If you guys like this video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a like. Comment down below what are thoughts about different styles of anime. I don't know. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys next time.